Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, where we talk about all things paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostess. I'm Stacy.
I'm Kara.
So, Kara, it's been snowing here in Ohio. We didn't get a lot of snow, though, yesterday, did you?
Yeah, we got we didn't get a lot, but we got more than you guys. We got 3 inches, probably.
And that's a lot in our world, but we only got a half
in my
inch.
world, it's a lot.
It was just like a little dusting here.
The roads were scary when I drove.
Were they?
Kept sliding.
So has anything else been going on since we talked last?
One of my friends, actually, they went ghost hunting. I think it was last weekend.
Yeah.
And I was asking them where they went, and they were at Madison Seminary, actually. They did one of the overnight stays at...
Oh, yeah. We've been there. That place is creepy, and I wouldn't go there at nighttime, that's for sure.
I don't know how they slept at all. I don't think I could sleep there.
No, I wouldn't. My eyes would be open all night long.
And
that place is creepy.
They told me that it's basically completely pitch black when they were there. And I'm like, I don't know how you walked. I would have stayed in that one room, like the safe room or whatever, the entire time.
Not only that, that place is cold because remember, they were telling us about how there's no insulation hardly at all, and the paint's peeling, and they get tons of flake effect snow all the time. So it has to have been cold when they were up there. My gosh,
they're very brave.
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing that.
They had some scary experiences too, and they told me that they had a lot of experience on the 4th floor.
Oh, really? That's the one that we had.
That's the floor we had most of our creepy, scary experiences.
Yeah, that place was crazy.
They had they had a stabbing pain in their stomach on that floor.
Oh goodness.
And just an overall uneasy feeling.
Yeah.
They had a lot of EMF, crazy EMF stuff going on, and just weird noises.
Really? Huh.
And they just were we did not like the 4th floor at all.
Yep,
I don't blame them.
Yeah, that place was creepy.
No. Remember we had those really weird emotions when we were
Yes. There? Well, you were obsessed with that one room. You just
I wanted to go back up so bad.
I know, it was weird. You just wouldn't let it go. You just kept being I have to go up there. I want to go up there. And we're no.
Yeah, I just wanted to go up there and hang out with the ghosties.
I guess. Apparently they liked you. They wanted to drain you dry. Suck out all your emotions.
Yeah, I want to go back there and do an actual overnight haunt.
Yeah, okay.
Like they did.
Uh-huh.
I was like, dang, well, if we need more people.
Yeah, we know who to call.
They're brave.
Yep. That's for sure.
Did you do anything else fun?
Nope, just trying to stay warm these past few days with all the snow and stuff that came in. Oh, the Bengals won, though. They're in the playoffs, so that's awesome. Hooday.
I saw it all over my feed. Mario even mentioned it because his mom was posting about it.
Oh, yeah, man. That was a good game. Of course, it was another nail-biter because, of course, the Bengals just can't cleanly win. We got to take it all the way down to the last 10 seconds and make everybody have heart palpitations. But they won and we're in the playoffs, so we're going to be playing the Titans this week. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they win. Although I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I would hold my breath.
Yeah. But we'll see. Miracles happen, right? All right, so I think you are up first this week. So what do you have for us this week?
Today we're going to be talking about fairy rings. Have you heard of fairy rings before? Or know anything about them?
Usually aren't they mushrooms that are in a circle, correct?
Yes, that is what they are.
Okay.
I didn't really know.
Yes,
I mean, I knew of
before.
I knew of the vagueness, but I didn't realize there was so much folklore around it. A weird amount of folklore and just kind of the consensus is you do not enter the fairy ring or bad stuff will happen. Yeah, you were not supposed to. Well, there's been some things that say that you can and it's good, but the vast majority says do not. I don't think I would chance it. I don't think it's worth it.
Nah, yeah, I agree.
So
I hear fairies can be like really nasty.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Really, they'll like bite you and like nip you and like pinch you and stuff.
They're
kind of
some pretty scary stuff.
Do
So,
they?
but yeah, but that brings us into the fairy rings. So they are mainly found in forested areas, but they also appear in grasslands. And it is basically a ring of fungus mushrooms that grow naturally, and they can appear overnight or grow / move locations, which that's the creepy part to me. They can just be, you can see it in one location, and then you'll wake up the next day, and it will be over in a different area. I'm like,
that is crazy.
That is crazy that they can just move. It's a little creepy.
Yeah, like the same size mushrooms and everything.
Yes, like they completely
weird.
the mushrooms just move over into a different area, and like that's kind of a little sus, if you ask me. But
that's a little alarming. Yes,
yeah, I feel like I could understand why there would be like weird. People would think they're kind of mystical because of this. There are 60 mushroom species that can grow into a fairy ring pattern. So there are multiple types of mushrooms that can create these.
Wow.
The largest fairy ring was found in Belfort in northeastern France, and it was 980 feet in diameter.
Holy moly.
That is gigantic.
That's a pretty big fairy ring.
And it was 700 years old.
Should we be concerned that the fairies that made it are huge fairies?
I mean, more meant like how wide it was. When you think about
I know, but I'm just making a bad joke about how they could be like giant fairies. But that is crazy. That's a huge... I've never seen one that big.
I didn't even know they could get that big. I thought they were just normally pretty small.
Right, that's what I thought too.
Traditionally, like, if a house is inside of a fairy ring, it is good luck. In some places. You know, in some places. And it's supposed to bring, like, fertility and, like, all that other good wealth, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Fairy rings are sometimes referred to as witches' circles in French, or in, like, French places. And then they're also called witches' rings in German. Germany. Yeah, I never heard that either. Europeans often thought that these rings had a supernatural origin.
Makes sense.
I mean, if they were just moving around, I would be like, that's kind of weird. And you can't even, like, just get rid of them. Like, you cannot just dig it up and it's gone. Like, the soil is contaminated. It's the soil itself that is the issue. So you could literally dig it up and then it would reappear the next day.
Oh, that's
so
crazy.
I could see why these people would be like, this is mystical. Yep. In German traditions, fairy rings were thought to be the locations where witches had danced the night before. So it's not always just about fairies. It seems like some places are also like, they're about witches, you know, burn the witch. The French believe that giant bug-eyed toads would curse those who violated the circle. If you messed with the circle at all, you would be cursed by these evil toads. And it was generally believed that it was bad luck to step inside one of these circles. And some believed you would lose an eye, specifically.
Okay, that's kind of intense.
Western Europe more believed that the rings were the result of elves or fairies dancing. Right. It was believed that entering the ring would allow one to see the fairies or elves, but it would put them in danger of the illusions. You would basically get trapped inside. And then there's also some that would say that if you go into the ring and you came back out, people would no longer be able to see you. So you would become an illusion. A lot of people think that they're portals to the fairy realm.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
Let's go to the fairy realm.
Sometimes it's also said in some places that you would be forced to dance around the ring if you enter until you die. So that's kind of very scary.
Yep.
And there was belief that the fairies used the mushrooms for dinner tables or little umbrellas.
Okay, I've seen that in drawings and pictures.
Yeah, that's stuff. Yes, actually, there is a connection to like a lot of art.
Yeah,
Victorian art specifically. Yeah. That they have those depictions of like fairies playing in like the mushrooms and stuff. That is where it originated from. Is from the fairy rings.
Oh, okay.
Yes. The general consensus is that fairy rings are to be avoided as you can be cursed, or some legends state you will die at a young age.
Ooh, okay.
Dutch specifically believe that they are where the devil churns his milk. Not sure what that means.
Okay, that's a little.
Like I said, there's just like so many
obscure,
different like versions
right.
of like other than just avoid it.
Yeah.
It also, it's also even more dangerous to enter a ring on the May Eve or Hallows Eve, specifically. That is ultra dangerous. Do not ever do it on those specific days.
All right, good to know.
Welsh Tales fairies are actively trying to get people to join the dances. So you also have to worry about just being near one because the fairies are trying to make you dance with them.
They'll lure you into their little dance thing and then they'll kill you by making you repeat it. Just keep dancing.
Dance forever. So if you are curious about a fairy ring or you accidentally step inside one and you would like to get out of it safely, you have to run around the circle 9 times. This allows you to hear the fairies dancing underground, actually, by doing
wait a
so.
minute. But why 9? Why is 9 the number?
No, wait, hold up. Because if it must be done, wait, there's something else. Oh, and if you run around the 10th time, that is dangerous. Do not go around the 10th time. You could die. And it must be done under the full moon, specifically. So if you walk in on a normal time,
I was going to say, now wait a minute. So what happens if you walk into the fairy ring before, like, a week or 2 before the full moon? You're stuck in there until the full moon?
Yeah, you're just stuck in there.
Fun times.
Yeah, I guess. Another superstition says wearing a hat backwards can confuse the fairies and prevent them from dragging you into the circle, because that's also a thing they can just bring you in.
Wait a minute.
You have to be very cautious around these. There are so many
I'm not even going to touch about the hat being backwards, and that's what, does it for them. It confuses them.
Like, what does the hat backwards have to do with the fairies?
I have no idea. Not a clue. That one's odd.
There are some legends that paint the circles in a good light, like I said. Some believe them to be a place of fortune and fertility.
I like that. I want fortune.
Like I said, a house built upon a fairy ring brings prosperity. I don't know if I personally would build one after what I've read.
But wait a minute, wouldn't it technically be impossible to build a house on a fairy ring because they're not very big? Or are they?
Because they could move.
I know, they move.
Like I said, they can get very big.
But the one you talked about, most houses will be bigger than that fairy ring, though. And what happens if it moves?
780 feet?
Huh?
780 feet, Mom?
Oh.
That is
okay,
gigantic.
Maybe not. But I'm just saying, what happens if you build it and then it moves?
That's like this.
Do you still have good luck?
Or
are you shit out of luck at that point?
Leaves.
I mean, which is it?
Is it like the luck of the Irish? Remember, they lost the gold or whatever, and then he was no longer. Yeah. I wonder if it's like that. If it moves, you lose the luck.
I would think so.
Like I mentioned before, the fairy imagery was very prominent in the Victorian area. To remove a fairy ring is very hard. You have to dig 7 feet into the ground.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Just to remove the contaminated dirt, because like I said, I'm like, there's no way. I don't think anyone can do that. You might as well just leave them at that point.
Leave them, stay away, or...
there are ways to save someone from a fairy ring. So if someone gets stuck into a fairy ring, oftentimes one must wait a year and a day from when the victim entered the ring. A year and a day!
So this person's just hanging out in fairyland this whole time for a year and a day, or what?
Okay, no, actually, it does touch on this. It is said that the time in the fairy realm is different.
That is true, because
time. There is time dilation, apparently,
that's true.
In the fairy realm. So, because people that supposedly got out of the fairy rings, they reported that they felt like they were only there for a little bit, but when they came back,
months,
it was months later. Yes.
Because my show that I used to watch, the True Blood, the Sookie, the main character, she was a fairy, and they touched upon that in some of the when they were like some of the folklore about fairy
so that
stuff.
Is like a lore thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So, here are some of the methods of getting someone out. This is very interesting.
I can't wait.
Just touching the victim touching the victim with iron.
Okay.
That is a way. I don't know what the iron has to do. A stick from a rowan tree, specifically.
Okay. Well, where are we going to find a rowan tree? I don't think there's, like, any in America. So you got to go over to England or wherever they are at?
That's it. I know. I just said it's very weird.
All right.
Just pulling them out is apparently a way.
Yeah. They're going to be stuck in the fairyland, apparently.
Yeah, that's just a few methods.
Huh.
There was, like, some really whack ones I remember reading where, like, you'd, like, throw, like, spices into the fairy ring, and that would allow...
Is that like an offering to the fairies, and then
out?
they'll release whoever's trapped in there kind of thing? Is that how that works?
I think the spices affect... I don't know.
Oh, their fairy
really
magic.
Like, I think it must mess with the fairy magic.
Got you.
But yeah, so that's fairy rings for you.
Yes, very interesting. I like how each different type of culture has a different take on what a fairy ring is.
Yeah, they have different...
And different ideas of how
most of them are similar.
Yeah, they are.
You know? Like, they're all, like, the same. Or, like, similar, like, they're like, don't go... But I wonder why people say don't go into them. Like, where did the negative connotation...
I don't know. Maybe people had bad experiences, and that's why they just say don't.
But, like, what happened? Is the poison... Do you think, like, the fungus is poisonous, and these are why it's affecting these people and making them die young? I just have a lot of questions, because normally, like, lore stuff like this has a reason.
Well, go look it up. Find out. I mean, maybe they were drinking the fungus juice. I don't know. Or making tea.
I don't know. I couldn't find
because some people do like fungus
tea,
mushroom tea and stuff like that. That was used a lot back then. Maybe that's what they were doing. Who knows? You said the ground was like poison, so maybe the poison leached into the person.
It's contaminated. So it's contaminated by the fungus.
Okay.
So the fungus, because like the fungus is not just the little
right. There's all those spores and stuff underneath.
Underneath,
and roots.
So that whole like area, unless they get all of the contaminated stuff out, it's not gonna. They can still spawn and keep growing. I don't know. It's very interesting.
It does sound interesting.
I didn't realize how like
involved it was and all the weird stuff.
Involved it was and all the crazy stuff.
That sounds pretty intense.
Don't go into a fairy ring. Spoiler.
Yeah, sounds like it.
All right, what is your topic today?
All right, so I'm going to be talking about the Bellaire House. This is a haunted house that is actually located here in Ohio. There's tons of crazy stuff that went on not only in the house from deaths and stuff like that, but the actual property has a lot of crazy stuff that went down that makes it so intensely haunted and have so many stories and stuff related to it. The Bellaire House is basically a 2,500 square foot home that sits on the Ohio River, and it has the land that it sits on like an acre of land, has had such violent activity that has happened there. The house itself has apparitions. There have been curses put on the land. There's portals to hell. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens there.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, wait till you hear some of the stuff that went on. So, some of the paranormal events actually started as early as the 20th century with this house. It sits on top of a cursed mine, apparently, and this mine is known as the portal to hell. So, we gotta back up a little bit to find out who the person was that built it there and why, and some of the stuff that happened at the location. So, the Bellaire... Yeah, well, not only does it have one, but it actually has several because, well, I'll get to all that. You'll find out why, and it'll make sense. But the Bellaire House is located on the banks of the Ohio River. The land actually was there during the French and Indian War when it took place from 1754 to 1763. The house also actually happens to sit on a major ley line, which, if you're not familiar with what a ley line is, ley lines flow from like one end of the world to like the other, and all the energy from the earth and, you know, everything related to all that runs through this line. And where the house is, it actually sits where a couple of them cross. And they say that if you live in a town or a city near a ley line, if you're a witch or anything with supernatural abilities or stuff like that, you get a major energy boost from that. And that's what was going on with this house, because it's set on the ley line. It's also believed to be haunted because there was a coal mine explosion that happened on the property in the Ohio Valley in 1893. The property was built by a gentleman by the name of Jacob Hetherington, and he was the original owner and builder of the home. And he built the house in 1847. Like I said, the back of the house sits in front of the Shawnee Native American burial caves. And the front of the house looks out to the Ohio River. So these burial caves that I'm telling you about is Native American land, and that is where the Native Americans, there was like several different groups of Native Americans that lived and roamed on the property there, and that is where they buried their leaders, their chieftains, their shaman, witch doctors, and their healers. They were all buried in that cave. So you also have all that energy in that general area, you know, merging with the ley lines. And then you had the explosion that I told you about that happened in 1893. Now, when Jacob Hetherington built his house, he actually he was a major owner of a lot of coal mines in that area, and he decided he was going to build his house on top of one of his coal mines. So when that explosion happened, it was actually his mine that he owned, and the front of the house sat over top of the entrance to the coal mine. So when there was a fire in there and it blew up, he's lucky he didn't lose the house. But 42 men were killed in the explosion, and it took days to recover the body. They said it was so bad, like how of an explosion and all that. And after that, like the mines kind of got shut down, or at least that one did, and they weren't allowed to mine down there anymore. So you have all this, you know, stuff going on the property. So then we have Jacob. So like I told you, you know, this was his property. He built the house. And he dies. And when he dies, he left his coal mining business to his son Alex and his granddaughter Lyde. And at the time, Lyde was helping Jacob, like she was keeping track of all the books and that, while he would go and he would actually work in the mines with his people that worked for him. So he was a good guy. I mean, it wasn't like he was mean or anything. But unfortunately, the business started to fail because his son Alex, who took over after he had died, starts to go crazy and is claiming that he sees demons are trying to kill him. Okay, because he's living in the house now after his dad died. He took over ownership of the house. So he's living in the house, and he's saying he's seeing demons all over there, and they're talking to him, and they're whispering to him. So he's, running around telling everybody about all this. So the family basically deemed him crazy, and they locked him up in a lunatic asylum. So shortly after he was committed, the granddaughter, of Jacob, but it's Alex's daughter, takes over the whole company because she's been doing the books for so many years. She knows how to run it, so she takes over. So a few years later, she dies in the dining room of their house from a heart attack, okay? And she has a brother named Edwin, and her and Edwin were really, really close. So Edwin takes it really hard that she has died, and he becomes very distraught. And he starts becoming obsessed with reaching out to her and trying to talk to her. So he brings in all these mediums, and he becomes a spiritualist. And, spiritualists like to have seances, and they like to, think they communicate with the dead by having, these seances and all that kind of stuff. So he brings in, these mediums and all that, and he says he's starting to communicate with her on the other side. But they say that because of the way he did it, he was obsessed. Every day he would just lock himself in. They had a seance room in the house. He would lock himself in there and just hold seances and talk to her all the time.
This reminds me of that one the Winchester house.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty
much.
Seance room. She would do like the seance room stuff.
Yes, and they would tell her what to do so she could keep away. Yeah, keep in front of them.
Seems similar.
Except his wasn't to do. Yeah, but his wasn't to try to talk to the ghost like that. It was just to communicate to his sister only. But while he was doing all this, he ended up talking to other things that he shouldn't have been talking to. And when he had these seances, he opened up portals that he never shut.
Oh, that's where the portals came from.
Yeah, that's where the portals come from. So he starts opening up all these portals because he's always trying to talk to him. And he would have the seances with the mediums. And he opened up so many portals that he let several spirits into the home. And there's one particular spirit that still remains there that disguises itself as a little girl named Emily. And this little girl named Emily likes to hang out in the attic of the house. And Emily's not a nice person, let's just say. The little spirit that's Emily. So, over the years, the home has been passed from one family to another, and they do not stay very long because of all the activity that goes on in the house. Now, back up just a second to the story, like where I was talking about Emily.
Yeah.
There's a story that one of the families that lived in the home, they had a child, and the child was up in the attic. It was like a playroom at the time, and Emily came to them and was talking to them, and it was like their imaginary friend or whatever. Well, Emily ended up, apparently another child was in the room and saw Emily push the kid out the window, and the child died.
Oh my god.
So,
that's like
yeah. So, the ghost Emily is not a good person.
She's
and
an
other
evil
people, other people that have visited the home and gone to the attic have felt pushes and shoves up there and have talked to, and, the spirit says its name is Emily, but nobody thinks that it is. They all think it's, made up and all that it's really like a demon disguising itself. So, as I was saying, that the house, goes through a lot of hands until the current owner, her name's Kristen Lee, and she's actually a medium herself, ends up buying the house, not knowing that it was haunted or anything like that, and thinking like this is a really cool house, and it's going to be her forever home, because it's really neat. I mean, if you saw it, the location of where it is, it kind of sits up on a hill, and you can see the Ohio River and all that. But she said that she started experiencing paranormal activity in the house herself. There was a couple times. The first time was she had a little dog with her, and they were like in the bedroom or whatever, and she said all of a sudden her dog lifted up off the floor, and this
what?
yes can you imagine this like little dog, and it's a tiny little dog, and it just floats up off the floor, and this creature thing, whatever you want to call it, threw the dog, and it ended up like, luckily it didn't get too badly hurt, but she was, pretty freaked out after that. She also says that there was a time when she was taking a nap on the couch in the living room, and she felt like somebody was watching her, so she, how that is, she kind of got startled awake, and when she woke up, there was some strange shadowy looking man just standing over her, like staring at her, but he was like kind of shadowy looking, and she said all of a sudden he just walks through the wall and just poofs, disappears. Yeah. So she decided that she could not live in the house anymore, but she does rent it out to paranormal investigators for them to go investigate. So the house obviously has several rules just because of all the activity that goes on there, from the portals that Edwin opened up all those years ago that have never been shut. They've tried to shut them. And they've had, like priests come in and, shaman and, all the different religions come in and try to shut them. And they do shut them for a very short time, but they say they all open back up anyway on their own. So they can never really be shut. So that's why nobody can really ever live there, because you've got to always worry about, like bad things coming through along with, whatever good things are there. But anyway, the house has several rules. You're not allowed to use Ouija boards in them. You're not allowed to use any type of mirrors and any type of scurrying, like mirror scurrying. Remember we talked about that? a little bit in one of the stories we covered last season, and I forget which one it was. It was one of the homes we were talking about. But do you remember when we were in the in Pittsburgh and we stayed in that creepy Victorian home? She had like a lot of mirrors. Like, you know what they say, like you put two mirrors like across from one another and it opens a portal to another realm or whatever. But remember in her bathroom, she had the two mirror, like the mirror.
Oh my god, that was so trippy.
Right, I know. And I would like, okay, I was always like, don't look in the mirror, don't look in the mirror, don't look in the mirror. I don't want to like, end up and disappear. But yeah, so you can't do anything, like you're not supposed to bring any of your own like mirrors with you and do anything crazy like that. They also won't let you do any kind of rituals. Like if you're a witch, you're not allowed to do any rituals in the house. And you're not allowed to open any portals because there's already enough in there as it is. Which makes sense. As I said, the attic is the place where most of this activity happens. And that is where the little person known as Emily hangs out. From some of the other videos I've watched, I know Shane and... what's his name from BuzzFeed actually went there and slept there for a night. And the rooms are kind of like the upstairs rooms that they have are kind of terrifying. There's one room that has all these creepy dolls, kind of like the Sarah's room that we saw in Madison Seminary, and it just has all these dolls all over the whole room in there, and they're like looking at you, and they all have like different colored eyes and stuff, and they said it's really creepy. So that's everything I have on this place. You can actually go there. That they have a calendar. You can pick a day. It's like $500, I think, to spend the night there. You can arrive anytime after 5, and you have to leave by 11 the next morning. They also have where you can rent it for weekends. Like you start, I think it's like a Friday, I want to say, and then you leave Sunday morning. I think that one was like $900. You can have up to 8 people with you though that stay there. And it's like a normal house. Like it's got, lights, electric, heat, air, a full functioning kitchen, kind of like the place we stayed at there in Pittsburgh, where you can, if you want to make breakfast, you can make your own breakfast and stuff. But yeah, so it's available if anybody's interested and they want to go check it out on their own.
I've seen this.
Have you?
I've seen this place before.
So I think you, and Savannah, and Mario, and maybe a couple other people should go there and spend the night there one of these, because it's not that far away from you guys. I think that would be really interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the reviews on... There's reviews of this place.
I know, and people say it's kind of terrifying, so...
And then, but some of the people are like, I didn't have any ghost experiences.
Right, that's what people said too.
But, I mean, it seems like it's hit or miss.
Well, you know what? That's the way it is, though, with any haunted place you go to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's...
I feel like...
This have to be extra active.
If you went...
But that was so crazy that because when we went to, we were supposed to be at Madison Seminary. We had a lot of activity for being in the middle of the day.
I know. That was crazy.
That was crazy.
When were we there, though? I'm trying to remember. It didn't happen to be on a night there was going to be a full moon, was it? Do you remember? Because I feel like when there's full moons, like you tend to have more activity go on in like those kinds of places.
Yeah, it was in September.
I know. I'll have to look it back up again and see if it was near a full moon or not. But yeah, Madison Seminary is really cool. I'd like to go back again now that we know what to expect. I feel like I wouldn't be so freaked out as we were the first time.
Yeah, we'll have to do a night tour.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's not go crazy or anything.
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'll be a hoot, especially if we bring Savannah and Mario with us. Location. I know. We should do that soon.
Because they also have one. I know. It's like an hour from
I know. We should do that one Saturday. Go up there. I want to go during the daylight first.
It's discounted. Well, it's
and
discounted,
then go at night. Like once you have the day experience first to figure out what all we're gonna, how intense it's gonna be before you go at night. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think we should go to that too.
Do like a day tour or something.
Yeah. Plus, there's a lot of history with that place, so I think it'd be kind of cool just to hear the history of it and poke around a little. I want to get one of those boxes that like picks up radio stations and pulls words out, like you can talk with spirits.
Spirit box.
Yeah, I want to get one of those. I think that's going to be our
We should
next
get one of those.
purchase.
Is that our next purchase?
Yeah, I think that's going to be our next purchase.
All right. Well, anything else?
Oh, we wanted to let all our viewers know about Spotify and their new rating system that they just launched.
Spotify, you can now rate podcasts on Spotify, so be sure to do that.
Yeah,
for
please,
because that is very helpful.
Yes,
to put us on charts.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram at Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, and please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode. All our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these two scaredy cats.